Good morning, John Dietz. Thank you so much for being here.
It is my pleasure. Super excited to be here, Stacy. Thank you.
Such a treat, such a treat. Well, we like to start our Friday calls with the wins of the week for a few minutes, and then we're in for a big treat, you guys. For those of you, a lot of you do know John Dietz, the great John Dietz. He's kind of a rock star in our world, and anyway, he's going to be taking over here in a few minutes and sharing on a what I feel like is a super timely topic for all of us, and I love what he's titled it: "Survive to Thrive in a Market Shift."
Wow.
Could we all use a little bit of that?
Well,
I love it. Okay,
have
who's got, before we kick it over to John, who's got
where I
with,
can barely hear it, and all of a sudden I do something.
oh, Brad, will you mute yourself while
We can't hear you.
oh, you can't?
No.
But the rest of y'all can?
I can hear you.
Okay, everybody else
Yes.
can hear me, Atlanta team.
Probably on our end. We're gonna go out and come back in.
Hit unmute.
Sounds good. I know y'all have wins of the week because I've had conversations with you. Megan had a win this last week, got a really rough closing rate to the closing table, Miss Megan Clark.
Yes, I have a lot more energy to do other things.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how
The stress, it's gone. It feels really good.
Megan had a
I
deal?
have two closings this morning.
Oh,
Yay.
wow.
There you go.
Yay. I love it. Well, my deal that's come off the rails, like Megan's deal came off the rails, like it's just come off the rails, and it's like the cream puff house and it's come off the rails, blown up 3 times. And we now have the clear to close. It's our listing. We have the clear to close. We're supposed to close on, yes, Jacqueline, the one I've talked to you about. Supposed to close on Tuesday, but y'all know, I believe it when the money clears the bank, right? But anyway, we're in the best place we've been so far on that one. Who else? Meredith, you had several solid listing appointments this week, I think. You said you're getting
I
like
have a lot of listings. I just keep collecting the listings.
I have a buyer that's closing on Tuesday and she had 7 different types of inspections, so I consider it a big win.
dang. Yeah, that's a big one.
I'm gonna share another type of win, and it's being cool, calm, and collective in this market. And we could not work out a deal with a very new agent, and he markets himself as a 1% listing company, and based on his license number, it's very new. So when we couldn't work it out, he picked up the phone and called my client not once but twice, trying to offer a discount to get the deal done. Well, that's kind of a no-no. And, I think the old me probably would have picked up the phone and gone ballistic, but it just showed how his back was against the wall. He was freaking out, and I'll deal with the complaint filing later. But trying to be cool, my client called me. He was really nice about it. And I'm still trying to get the deal done because it's a greater good for my client, not me busting up this guy's license at this point.
Very good.
So, we're in a very interesting market right now.
Yeah. And it goes back to what you said a couple of weeks ago, Brian. It's like we got to celebrate the micro wins. We're able to focus on, if we can focus on the micro wins, I think it helps us kind of power through. Well, how about we kick it over to our rock star, John Dietz. John, are you ready to rock?
I'm always ready, Stacy.
Okay, seriously, every time I listen to John Dietz, it's like everything else stops and I'm like, oh, that was just gold. Like so many gold nuggets, so many gold nuggets. So no pressure, John.
I was just going to say, don't put me up too much. They're going to have really high expectations here. Stacy, let me just check before I start. What kind of time do I have here this morning?
So we go until 10. So, or 10 our time. I think you're East Coast, right? So we go for like straight up on the hour. So you take as much of that as you want.
Okay, I don't think I'm gonna need an hour. I don't know if anybody has the staying power to hang in there with me for an hour, but we'll give it a go. All right, first of all, quick introduction. Hi, everybody. My name is John Dietz. 22 years in the business, got my real estate license in 2002. Everybody always talks about why they got their license. For me, it was because my wife thought it would be a good idea, and I agreed, so I got my license. Started out selling real estate part-time, never intended on this being a full-time career. I was blessed by getting fired from my full-time corporate position 6 months into being a real estate agent, and found myself as a full-time real estate agent overnight. At the time, my son was 5 years old. My daughter was 6 months old. I had bills to pay. And all of a sudden, I have to be successful doing this. Sold 60 homes in the next 6 months, and then went on to sell an average of over 100 homes every year after that. The toughest time for me as a real estate agent was between 2006 and 2008. It was the beginning of the shift. And honestly, I can remember having a conversation with my wife where I said, if we have to do short sales, I'm out. I'm not doing short sales. Well, funny story, within the next couple of years, we were closing 10 sales a month, and 60 to 70% of them were short sales. So it's a good thing I changed my mind on that one. And my goal here this morning for all of you is just to give you the information you need in order to survive a market shift. Now, the whole idea behind surviving a market shift is by surviving, you now have the opportunity to thrive. Let me explain that. So a real estate shift is a market of opportunity. It is a skill-based market, meaning in order to succeed as a real estate agent in a shifting market, you have to have the right skills that you didn't need to have in 2021, that you didn't need to have in 2020. When the market is really good, we succeed because of what we're doing right, but we also succeed in spite of all the things we're doing wrong. And unfortunately, when the market shifts, the shifting market exposes the frauds. Hopefully nobody gets offended at that, but you're going to see real estate agents getting out of the business because they just can't cope with this new market that we're in. And I know that you guys in Austin, for those of you who are in Texas, you've been dealing with this longer than we have in Florida. We've been facing this 4 or 5 month supply of inventory for about 6, 7 months now. I know you guys have been dealing with it for longer, so you're probably further along than most people are, which is a good thing. I have major key points that I want to talk to you about. The first one is lead generate for motivated buyers and sellers. If you're taking notes at home, please write that down. The second thing on my list this morning is converting seller leads to listing appointments. The third thing we're going to talk about is navigating the new buyer agency agreements. Fourth is master seller pricing strategies. And then finally, get your unfair share. All right, so let's start with lead generate for motivated buyers and sellers. You have to go from a place of lead generating for buyers and sellers to lead generating for motivated buyers and sellers. The challenge of a shift is to find the motivated. Now, the motivated is somebody who is ready, willing, and able to buy a home, or somebody who is ready, willing, and able to sell their home. They could be ready and willing, but not able, and that's not a motivated buyer or seller. Or they could be ready, able, but not willing, and they're not a motivated buyer or seller. So for example, if you're working with a seller and they say, I want to sell my home, I want $750,000 for my home, and I'm not willing to sell it for anything less. It's worth that, and I won't take a penny less. Well, they're ready to sell. They're absolutely able to sell, but they're not willing to do what it's going to take to get their home sold in today's market. That's not a motivated seller. The question that I want all of you to ask yourself when going on appointments is, the person that I'm meeting with, are they motivated? We're going from a market where people bought and sold home with positive market expectations and for personal reasons. We're in a market today where they're only buying and selling for personal reasons. They're not buying and selling with positive market expectations. Quite honestly, it's the opposite. And our job is to find those individuals who need to sell, who need to buy. You simply do that by asking questions. If your home sells, where are you moving to? You know, it's so much easier if I do this with a role play. So if somebody would take themselves off mute and talk to me, that would be awesome.
I can do that.
All right, there we go. Thank you. Lizette, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Lizette, when your home sells, let's just say Lizette is for sale by owner. Okay. So Lizette, when your home sells, where are you moving to?
I have my mom's house. I mean, I can move there temporarily.
Okay. Let's stop right there. Is she motivated? Yes or no? Not really.
I say
Mhm.
no.
So
Yeah.
I agree with you. 100% agree with you. Not motivated.
Wait, it depends, because if she's behind on her mortgage payments, she may need to sell.
Okay, good point. Yeah, 100% good point. And there's more questions that we can ask. So who is that sitting at the end of the conference table?
That's Jeannie.
Jeannie, can you pick up where we left off and role play with me?
Yes.
Okay, Jeannie, tell me what moving to your mother's home will do for you.
Well, my mom's been sick lately and I need to help take care of her, and I lost my job because I was spending so much time going back and forth traveling with my mom, and I fell behind on mortgage payments.
Got it. Okay. Change the story, right? Now we have a motivated seller,
Mhm.
correct? Jeannie, just out of curiosity, how soon are you looking at moving in with your mother?
And it could have been tomorrow, or it could be tomorrow or yesterday. I mean, I need to get there. She needs the help.
All right. So, Jeannie, right? If I don't write it down, I forget it immediately. It's Jeannie, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Jeannie. So what do you guys think? This is a for sale by owner. What should my next question be? Jeannie, if I could show you how I could sell your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time in order to get you into your mother's home as soon as possible, would you be interested in seeing how I could do that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Jeannie's selling her home for sale by owner, right? That's how the conversation started. And we transitioned to a listing appointment simply by asking a few questions, correct? It's not always going to be just like that. Every situation's going to be different. But I mean, I'm glad Lizette responded the way she did. And I definitely just wanted to share with you, based on that first answer, when somebody doesn't have a really good reason for why they're moving, you might be talking to somebody who's not motivated. And our goal here is to find the motivated. All right. When I am talking with a buyer lead, you have a buyer that is reached out to you in reference to a property they're interested in purchasing. One of the first questions I'm going to ask them is, how soon are you looking to make a move? What's important about making a move in the next 60 days? Are you paying cash, or are you getting a loan on the property? Have you been pre-approved? Have you spoken to a lender? Do you have a home that you need to sell? If they have a home, if they say, no, I don't have a home that I need to sell, do you own a home? Yes. Do you have a pre-approval that says you can purchase the new home without selling your home? Just keep asking questions in order to make sure you're finding the motivated. If you have a buyer and you ask them, tell me what you're looking for, and they respond with a great deal. The first question to that is, what does a really good deal look like? Well, I'm looking to get something at about 90% of the asking price. Why is that important to you? Now, as you dig deeper, if you have somebody that they'll buy, as long as they find that property at a great price, are they motivated? Not necessarily. Your job is to find the motivated. And since there's going to be fewer motivated buyers and sellers, and there's definitely fewer motivated buyers and sellers in 2021, we had 6.3 million homes sold. By 2023, that number was down to about 4 million homes sold. So there's fewer deals being done. There's 1.5 million real estate agents in the US, and that's less than 3 sales per agent. And there's a competition for the motivated. Your job is to find the motivated. In order to find the motivated, you're going to have to talk to more people, which means you're going to have to double down on your lead generation. Whatever you were doing before, it's probably going to take double the effort in order to get the same results, in order to find the motivated. All right, moving on to the next point, I want to talk to you about converting seller leads to listing appointments. So let's talk about expired and for sale by owners again. By the way, I'm going to talk a lot about expired listings because I think that's the market of the moment. If you look at your local market, just look at how many properties came off the market as an expired listing in the last 30 days. I guarantee you it's going to be a big number. I would start every single day with calling expired listings. Now, if you don't want to call them, that's fine. Go knock on their door. If you don't want to go knock on the door, send them a handwritten letter. Make sure that the envelope is hand addressed so that they open it up. Follow it up with a postcard, follow it up with a door hanger. Make sure that all three have the same message, same brand, your information, your contact information, and then go knock on their door. Now, the conversation with an expired listing is, if your home would have sold, where are you moving to? What's important about moving to blank? Megan, I know I can count on you. Would you take yourself off mute with me for a moment? All right. So Megan, just out of curiosity, when a home doesn't sell that should have like yours, it usually comes down to one of 3 reasons, either price, presentation, or marketing. Now, just out of curiosity, why do you believe your home didn't sell?
John, I really couldn't tell you. My house shows beautifully. And, we listed it for the price that I wanted to get out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It was on the market for 6 months, and I see that it came off the market at $700,000. Did you have any offers?
Yeah, we had some lowball ones.
Tell me what a lowball offer looks like, Megan.
Well, they were in the 6s, mid 6s.
So 650?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were asking $700,000. Tell me what's important about $700,000. What does that do for you?
I just think my house is worth $700,000. I have some really great furnishings. It's in a great area.
Okay. If your home would have sold, where are you moving to?
We were planning on moving to California.
Okay. What's in California?
Cooler weather.
Okay. By the way, that's not motivated. All right. They're not going to move for weather. Not in my opinion anyways, but we'll keep the conversation going here. All right. So have you given up on that goal?
No, I'd still love to sell my house.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, just out of curiosity, if a buyer showed up tomorrow with $700,000, what would you do?
I'd be packing my bags to California.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, if I had an offer, $700,000, would you want me to bring you the offer?
Yeah, like yesterday.
Okay, got it. So, Megan, that's exactly why we should be together. I just need 20 minutes to pop by so I can take a look at your home, take some notes, ask some questions so I could potentially bring you an offer. Now, just out of curiosity, if we were to meet, do early afternoons, late afternoons, or weekends work best for you?
I love early afternoons.
Okay, so I'm looking at my calendar and I've got tomorrow at 3 p.m. or would 2 p.m. be better for you?
Let's do 2.
Okay, so I've got the appointment. Please write this down. The purpose of the call is to schedule the appointment. Now, there's 2 different schools of thought here, okay? When you're calling expired listings and for sale by owners, the first thought, and if you go to Mike Ferry or Tom Ferry or a lot of these other coaches, they're going to teach you qualify and only go on listing appointments. I'm totally cool with that, by the way. However, it's not my strategy. My strategy is I don't want to judge away opportunity. So I want to get face to face with Megan, even if she is not ready to put her home back on the market, or she tells me something like, you know, if I ever do relist, I'm going to hire the previous agent. Cool. What time can I come? Tomorrow at 3, or would 4 be better for you? To me, the purpose of the call is to get the appointment, because my thought process is prior to me going on this appointment, I'm just another pushy realtor on the phone. I'm like everybody else, in other words. Face to face, she's going to like me. Face to face, when I get on that appointment, my job now is to build a foundation to follow up from. It's to convey that Megan can trust me, I care about her, and I know what I'm doing, I can help her. When you meet with a buyer, or you meet with a seller, they're always gonna ask themselves 3 questions. And those 3 questions they're asking about you are, can I trust you? Do you care about me? Do you know what you're doing, and can you help me? So from the moment I show up at Megan's front door, my job is to convey, Megan, I care about you, you can trust me, and I can help you. Now, I want you to think of it like this. When you show up at that front door, you're playing tennis. Now, you're on one side of the net, they're on the other side of the net, and you're batting that ball back and forth. In other words, you're in competition with one another. When Megan opens up that door, at first, there's this big wall between the two of us, and she's still keeping her distance because I'm the dirty, rotten realtor who wants to list her house. Now, my job prior to leaving her home is to get that wall to come down, to go around the net and be on the same side as hers. And now we're playing tennis, we're playing doubles, and I'm her partner. By the time I leave, she's going to like me. I'm no longer that pushy real estate agent like everybody else. Matter of fact, she's put all of them into one group, and I'm in another group all by myself. Now, the way that I'm going to achieve this, number 1, is by being on time for the appointment. Confirm the appointment ahead of time and be on time for the appointment. I have 10 seconds when she opens the front door in order to create a first impression. I call it the Kodak moment. Now, the moment Megan opens up her front door, I'm going to simply respond with, hey, Megan, John Dietz. We had an appointment today at 4 p.m. and it's 4 p.m. May I come in? Now, the moment I walk in that front door, I'm going to show enthusiasm. I'm going to be happy to be there, and I'm going to write this down. I'm going to like their home. So important. I can't tell you how many appointments I've gone on, Michelle, and I've had sellers tell me, you know, John, so-and-so was here and they didn't even like my home. Why would I hire them? My response to that is always, I don't know. I love your home. Hire me. The moment you walk in that door, wow, Megan, I'm excited to be here. You have a beautiful home. Would you like me to take my shoes off? Be courteous, be different, be professional. I'm going to walk in with a notebook in my hand, a pen, and a business card. That's it. Now, I'm going to ask Megan to take me on a tour of her home. Words matter. Every word matters. So listen to what I'm going to ask Megan. Megan, if you would, please what I would love for you to do is take me on a tour of your home. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a lot of questions, and I'm going to take notes, because this is the information I'm going to use to sell your home. Now, Megan, as we're going through your home, if you would also point out all of the updates that you've made to your home in the last couple of years, and also give me a list of updates you would make if you weren't selling. Now, the reason I'm asking that question is because that gives Megan an opportunity to point out to me the improvements that need to be made to her home versus me walking into the kids' room and saying, purple carpet, pink walls, are you nuts? What were you thinking? We got to paint this room. We got to put in new carpet. They don't want you to do that. Don't go in there and start staging their home. Your job is to like their home. Now, as you're touring their home, take questions, ask notes, demonstrate, I care about you. You can trust me. If you walk through their entire house and you don't ask any questions and you're not taking any notes, can they trust you? Heck no. You're there for one reason. You're there because you want to get a listing. They know that. If you're not asking any questions, you're not taking any notes, then why are you there? Again, do you care about me? Can I trust you? No. So be different. Now, before you leave, you're going to have an exit conversation, which is going to set up the third stage to converting leads to appointments. That exit conversation with an expired listing is simply, Megan, in my experience, when someone has a home that didn't sell like they have a game plan for how long before they put their home back on the market with a professional like me. Is it okay if I ask you what your game plan is? Now, remember, when you were on the phone, they were never going to list their home again. Okay. That's when you were a pushy realtor like everybody else. By the time you get to the front door, now that wall is down. Now you're over on the other side of the net playing doubles against everybody else. Now they like you. So you're going to get a different response this time when you ask that question. Megan, is it okay if I ask you what your game plan is? Now, she tells me 30 days, 2 weeks, or Monday. Don't be surprised if you get that. They're not going to volunteer this information, but they will tell you if you ask. So simply ask them, what's your game plan for when you're going to put your home back on the market? If it's a for sale by owner, I'm going to ask the very same question, except most for sale by owners have a game plan for how long they're going to sell their home by owner before they hire a professional like me. I'm going to pause for just a moment and point out, make sure you're paying attention to the embedded commands. If you study neuro-linguistic programming, the embedded commands are everywhere. I'm using them always. This is the information I'm going to use to help you sell your home. It's an embedded command. How long are you going to wait before you hire a professional like me? It's an embedded command. So pay attention to those. The other question I'm going to ask on an exit with a for sale by owner is, most for sale by owners are selling their home by owner in order to save on the fee. Megan, take yourself off mute if you would and role play with me again. Most for sale by owners are selling their home by owner in order to save on the fee. Megan, is that why you're selling your home by owner?
Absolutely. I want the most money out of it as I can.
Totally makes sense. Now, when I scheduled the appointment with you, you mentioned that if a real estate agent were to bring you a buyer, you would pay them 3%. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thought so. So the difference between selling on your own and working with a professional like me is just 3%, not 6%, correct?
I got it.
Okay.
Well, I was there when you're like.
What that is Floyd Wickman would call it dropping a bomb and walking away. What I'm doing is I'm just planting a seed that this is not going to cost Megan 6%. It's only going to cost her 3% because she's already paying 3%. Put it in dollars. If she's selling a $500,000 home, it's not going to cost her $30,000. It's only going to cost her $15,000 because she's already spending $15,000. Now, pay attention and look for opportunity. If I get Megan to respond with, I didn't think about that, I'm transitioning to closing for a listing appointment immediately. Now, you want to work like a farmer, and think like a hunter. Let me explain what that means. A farmer is planting seeds, they're water, they're fertilizing, they're taking care of the crop until it's ready to grow. So you're a farmer until you see opportunity. The moment you see opportunity, you become a hunter. So you transition from farmer to hunter immediately. Now, what that would sound like is, Megan, if I'm being too aggressive, please forgive me. However, if you were to hire a professional like me, you would want to hire an aggressive agent, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Who would say no to that? Who would say, no, I want somebody who's a pushover. I want somebody who's lazy. I don't want somebody who's going to work hard. Of course, they're going to say yes to that. So, Megan, if I could show you how I could sell your home for more money in less time, would you be interested in seeing how I could do that?
Yeah, I definitely would.
Okay, so now you have a listing appointment. Now let's break that down, because I didn't say that I could sell her home for more money than she's asking. She's a for sale by owner. She's asking $700,000. I'm not saying I'm going to sell it for more than 700,000. She's an expired listing. It came off the market at 700. I'm not saying that I'm going to sell it for more than the listing came off the market. Here's what I'm saying. I can sell Megan's home for more money than she can. Fact. I can sell Megan's home for more money than any other real estate agent can. Fact. That's the message. In less time. Same thing. I'm going to sell her home faster than she can or faster than another real estate agent could. Because I'm a local economist of choice. I know the local market better than anybody else does. I am a strategic pricing professional. I understand how to price Megan's home in order to attract the right buyers. I am an expert at marketing her home to the right buyers, not to the wrong buyers. And I am a fierce negotiator. And because I'm all those things, I know that I can sell her home for more money in less time. Let me give you a couple other scenarios that you could use. Let's say that, again, we'll talk for sale by owners. And you've got a for sale by owner that's frustrated because their home hasn't sold. Ask them what a really good buyer looks like. So, glasses. Stacy, can you tell me what a really good buyer looks like to you?
I'm the seller. I'm the FSBO seller.
Yeah.
Cash buyer can close pretty quickly for me.
Yeah.
It'll pay me top dollar.
Yeah, Stacy, I agree. By the way, sellers go to script school. They do. And that's their script right there. They teach that same script to every for sale by owner in the country. Pretty much the only one they learn, by the way. Now, the good news for you is you have a lot better scripts than that because somebody's going to outscript somebody. Now, my response to that is, Stacy, can I share with you what a really good buyer looks like to me?
Sure.
So a really good buyer is somebody who sold their home yesterday and they need to buy a home to move into in the next 30 days. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
All right. Or a really good buyer is somebody who's in town for the weekend to buy a home. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay, cool. Now, Stacy, if you were that buyer, are you out driving around looking at for sale by owners, or are you working with a professional like me?
Working with a professional.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Now, if you're the agent that's working with that buyer, are you driving around showing them homes that are for sale by owner or showing them homes that are listed by a professional like me?
You got a good point there. They're working with a professional.
Yeah, I agree. So, Stacy, if you're not attracting a really good buyer the way we just described a really good buyer, who are you attracting?
Tire kickers, I guess.
Yeah. You know, just out of curiosity, have you had anybody ask you if you would do a lease purchase or owner financing?
I have actually.
Yeah. Can I tell you why?
Please do.
Okay. So if a buyer is looking to, if someone is looking to buy a home and they call a real estate agent because they see a home they want to look at, right? The first thing that agent's going to do is make sure that they're pre-qualified, pre-approved for the loan before they show them homes. And if the buyer has any kind of ding on their credit record that's going to keep them from being able to get a loan, the real estate agent's not going to work with them. So in that situation, the only thing left for that buyer to call, the only people left are for sale by owners. So you basically have a sign in your front yard that says, if you can't get financing, call me. How do you feel about
No,
that?
I'll get that. That's like all of that right there was just gold. See what I mean? That was gold, right? Keep going.
Okay. So, Stacy, how do you feel about that?
I don't think those are my buyers. I don't think those are my people.
I
That's
agree.
not who I want traipsing through my house.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Right? What would you do right here? As a realtor, guys, what would you do?
Close it.
Say it again, Jim.
Close it.
Close it now. Close it now. Now, what if she's not ready? What if she says, well, you know, John, you're making really good points, but I really need $700,000 and I just can't afford to pay that commission. I'm going to transition right to the watch script, which is, Stacy, I get it. I really do. Now, Stacy, you ever been to a garage sale?
I have.
Okay. When you go to a garage sale, what are you looking for?
Stuff that I want and at a deal.
Yeah. Who's selling that stuff?
Somebody that wants to dump it. Get rid of it.
All
Clean
right.
out.
If you buy, let's say you're buying a watch, just like this. Let's say you and I are buying this watch. Okay. We have a budget of $300. We go to the local retail store and we find the watch. It's exactly what we're looking for. It's $300. So we buy it. We pay $300, right? We went to the retail store expecting to pay retail. We bought the watch from a professional. Now we bring it home and we decide we don't like it. We can't return it. So we're going to sell it in a garage sale the next day. Still brand new, still in the box. Are we getting $300 for that watch, Stacy?
No,
Why not?
because the people that come to garage sales are looking for a deal.
Yeah. Who's selling the watch at the garage sale?
Somebody that's trying to get every dollar out of it that they can.
Okay, so at the retail, sometimes you have to help them get the answer, guys. So here we go. At the retail store, it was being sold by a professional. At the garage sale, it's being sold by who?
A non-professional.
seller,
You.
Anybody else want to give me the answer here?
by the seller that's selling the house.
By the owner. By the owner. At the garage sale, it's being sold by the owner. Now, Floyd Wakeman would call that dropping a bomb and walking away. That's all you have to say, and then just wait for them to talk. So, Stacy, at the retail store, it was being sold by a professional. Now, at the garage sale, who's selling the watch?
The owner.
Yeah. Okay, so is it possible that because you're selling your home by owner, you're going to attract a buyer who's looking for a deal?
Yes,
You're selling your home by owner in order to save on the fee, correct?
correct.
Is it possible the buyer is going to try to save on the same fee?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you both save the same amount?
Mm. Probably not.
Okay. So according to NAR, the average for sale by owner is selling in more than 120 days on the market for an average of no more than 90% of the asking price. Now, my listings are selling in less than 30 days on the market for an average of 99% of the asking price. So are you making money or losing money by working with a professional like me?
Making money.
Yeah. So if I could show you how you can get your home sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time, would you be interested in seeing how I could do that?
I would be.
Okay, so now you've got the appointment. Now, I want to talk about the way that question is worded because it's important. It's a curiosity question. If somebody comes back with, that makes sense, but I'm not ready, you can respond with, I get it. This is, my question is, are you curious? Aren't you at least curious to see what I would do to get your home sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time? You're usually going to get a yes to that. Now, if they give you, I'm going to wait until, here's one that's coming up right now. I'm going to wait until after the election. Okay, fair enough. So we're talking November, December. Now, if you're thinking of waiting until after the election, is it possible there's a lot of other people who are thinking the same thing? And if that's true, is there going to be more competition, more homes on the market after the election than there is today? Yeah, that's true too. So is it going to be easier to sell your home when there's more competition or when there's less competition like there is today? It's less competition. By the way, the same strategy works when you get close to the holidays and you have people telling you they're going to wait until after the holiday, because that'll happen too. Are there other people who are thinking the same thing? Yes. It's the same conversation. All right. One more thing. People are more motivated by avoiding pain than they are by going towards pleasure. Please write that down. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to master harm's way questions. Let me give you a few examples. Meredith, if you wait 6 months and the market continues to shift and you find out 6 months from now that your home is worth $20,000, $30,000 less than it is today, how would you feel about that?
Frustrated.
Yeah. If you had a crystal ball and you knew your home was going to sell for 700,000, would you rather sell it for 700,000 in the next 30 days or 6 months from now?
Sell it now for 700.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Now, my greatest concern for you is not that your home is going to sell for less money than you want. My greatest concern for you is we're going to be having this conversation 6 months from now, and it's going to be worth even less money then. Just out of curiosity, how low does the price have to go before you can no longer afford to sell your home? How low does the price have to go before you can no longer afford to sell your home and move to California in order to be closer to your family? If waiting meant that you're still in your home a year from now, 2 years from now, 6 years from now, would you regret waiting? All harm's way questions. If somebody's home in the neighborhood is foreclosed on and that property is sold as a bank-owned property, is that causing the value of your home to go up or down? If interest rates go up, is your home more affordable or less affordable? All harm's way questions, guys. All right, I'm going to move on to the next topic.
So John, I have a question for you before you move to the next one, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it, Lisa.
So let's say you get to the, you go to the listing appointment, and before you go, you realize the comps are, I don't know, 675 instead of 700. How did you handle that with the seller, since you already told them kind of close him or her on the home? She wants 700 and you kind of agree with her on that price during the call. How did you manage that or handle that when you get there?
It's a great question. So this is being recorded, right? I would watch the recording. Just let me know if I said during the call that we're going to get more than $700,000 for their home. Now, what I did ask you in order to set up the appointment, Lisette, is if I had an offer, if I had a full price offer, would you want me to bring you the offer?
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the pricing conversation, we have strategic pricing conversations. This is actually on my bullet point list of things we're going to talk about today, so we might as well go for it right now. This is part of the strategic pricing conversation. It's not a pricing conversation. It is a strategic pricing conversation based on getting their goals accomplished. The data is going to do the talking for me, Lisette. I am simply going to show them all of the comparables, how much they sold for. I'm going to show them all of the active properties that are comparable to their home, how much they're asking. I'm also going to show them a supply and demand analysis that will let them know how many months of inventory there is for homes like theirs in their price range. And then I'm going to simply ask you, based on the information that I've shown you, where do you see your home selling? I'm not going to give them a price. I'm going to ask them to give me a price. Based on the information I'm showing you, where do you see your home selling? Now, Lisette, if they come back with $700,000, what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to turn the comparable properties around. I have them sitting on the table with me. They're across the table. Okay. I'm going to turn the comparable properties around. I'm going to push them towards them, and I'm going to ask them, help me see that, because I'm not seeing the same thing you are. Now,
That's great.
understand the easy thing for me to do is just agree to your price. So for example, Lisette, if I agreed to list your home today for $700,000, would you hire me?
Probably not.
Wrong answer.
Oh, really? Well, probably yes. Okay.
You want 700,000 for your home. Don't forget that, Lisette.
Okay, got it.
All right. So if I agreed to list your house for $700,000, would you hire me today?
Yes.
Okay, so that's for a seller who likes everything about you other than the price. I'm not going to ask that question unless I've got a seller who likes everything about what I've shared with them other than the price. So if I agreed to $700,000, you would hire me, correct, Lisette?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, understand the easy thing for me to do would be to just take your listing at 700,000. That's the easy thing. By the way, I still win because I've got a sign in your front yard that's generating buyer calls and I'm converting those buyer calls to close sales. So I'm making money even if your home doesn't sell. That's a win-lose and you're the one who lost. Now, my promise to you is I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And unfortunately, the data is saying somewhere between 650 and 660. It's not saying $700,000. And in a market like we're in today, if we price just slightly above the market, I mean, there's 18 homes for sale in your price range. 3 are selling every 30 days. That means we have 6 months of inventory. It also means in order for you to sell your home, you have to be one of the 3 out of 18. And if you are slightly above the market, you're not going to be one of the 3. It's kind of like going fishing and hanging your bait 3 feet above the water and then asking yourself, why am I not catching any fish? You got to get that bait down in there where the fish are. So in order to sell your home, Lisette, we need to be somewhere between 650 and 660.
Got it. Can you show me how all the works, or how all the numbers work out for me? Like how much I'm gonna net? Do you get that question? Because I get that question all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's an easy one, right? Lisette?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Right. Okay. So the pricing conversation is the last conversation we have on a listing appointment, by the way. If you've seen my 14-point listing presentation, what comes next after the pricing conversation is close. Are you ready to get started? All right, let's go back to strategic pricing here for just a second. I'm going to give you a math formula that will enable you to figure out supply and demand on every single house. I want you to write on a piece of paper A, B, C, D, vertically on the left side of the sheet of paper. So A, B, C, D. Now, A is active listings between 550 and 600. So I'm going to pause for just a second right there. It could be any price range. So it could be 600 to 650 or 650 to 700. I'm just telling you 550 to 600 for the example here today. Now, B is sold in the last 6 months between 550 and 600. The area that you're looking is a 2 to 3 mile radius around your subject property. So when you go into your MLS, just use the map feature, draw a circle of 2 to 3 miles around your subject property in order to be able to get enough data to make the math equation work. So we're looking 2 to 3 mile radius around the property that's being sold. That's also more than likely the market that a buyer is looking in. So that's my competition. If I'm selling my home, I'm competing against all these homes. So 2 to 3 mile radius around the subject property, active, 650 to 700. 2 to 3 mile radius sold in the last 6 months. 2 to 3 mile radius. That's B, by the way. C is B divided by 6. So if B is 18, there was 18 sales in the last 30 days. Then we're going to take 18 divided by 6 equals 3. So C is 3. That's how many homes are selling every 30 days. Now, D is A divided by C. If A is 24, if there's 24 active listings between 650 and 700,000 within this 2 to 3 mile radius, and we divide that by C, which is 3 homes selling every 30 days, then D is 8. We have 8 months of inventory.
John, what was D again, divided by C?
Yeah, D is A divided by C.
Thank you.
It's active listings divided by the number selling every 30 days.
John, what was C? Was it B divided by 6 months?
E divided by 6. That's correct. It's the number of homes that sold divided by 6. And it's divided by 6 because our search on B was we went back 6 months. By the way, the reason we go back 6 months, not 3 months, is because we need the numbers in order for the math equation to work. This has absolutely nothing to do with comparable properties. I know I've had agents tell me, but that home's not comparable. Doesn't matter. It's in the same price range. But that home sold 6 months ago and the market's a lot different than it is today. I understand. It's not about that. It's about having the data in order to be able to make an observation. This is what I see. Now, what I see is we are tracking more inventory, more days on market, fewer homes sold. We know that because we know how to do the research. Now, when meeting with that seller, it's simply, Stacy, in order to sell your home in this price range, you have to be one of the 3 homes that sell out of 24. In other words, you've got these other 24 homes that you're competing with. To sell your home, you have to beat the competition. Really important that they get this. Now, in order to beat the competition, you've got to be top 25% in presentation, bottom 25% in price. So you have to win the beauty pageant and you have to win the price war. If you don't, you're not going to sell. The other thing you need to do in order to sell your home in a shifting market is you need to price ahead of the competition. In good markets, prices are going up, then they plateau and they start to go down, right? This is where we are right now. We're here. So if the data is telling us 650 is the right price, price your home at 640. But I'm giving it away. No, you're not. You're pricing ahead of the market. In other words, you're pricing where the market is going. You're at 650 today. It's going to be 640 in the next couple months. You're just beating the market to that price. You're creating the market versus chasing the market. If you start out at 650 and it doesn't sell, you're going to lower your price. The problem with lowering your price is you're still above the market. So now you end up chasing it even more. Now, 6 months later, you're not selling for 650, you're selling for 620, and your home is still for sale, and you have 6 months of holding costs. If your holding cost is $3,000 a month, you paid $18,000 not to sell your home. Plus, you lost $20,000 in value, so you lost $38,000 trying to make an extra $10,000. Is this making sense?
1,000%. Amazing.
I have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it,
I want
Jeff.
to make sure I understand. So are you basically just taking the average of the prices in those different buckets? Because I'm not getting the numbers I should be getting when I'm doing a real life example.
Definitely not using averages.
Okay.
I am finding 2 properties minimum that are as close to being identical to the subject property as well.
Okay.
I am using those properties to justify the highest price possible.
Okay.
All I need is ammunition to fight for their price. If I could take 2 solds to an appraiser and say, this is why we priced here based on these solds, then we're going to try to get the most amount of money for their home. Even in a shifting market, we're still going to try to get the most amount of money. Now, I'm simply using those 2, 3, hopefully, that sold in order to come up with the value for this home. But Jeffrey, I'm also looking at the actives in a shifting market when there's 8 months of inventory, for example. I'm paying more attention to the actives than I am the solds because we got to beat the competition. I need to look at those homes they're going to compete with and ask, where do we need to be in order to beat those homes?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, time went by faster than I thought it would, Stacy. I ended up taking up just about the whole hour. Let me talk about getting your unfair share here real quick, guys.
This is all great. This is all gold. So carry on, carry on.
I'm glad that you like it. All right, so we're at a pizza party, 10 of us. We ordered 2 large pizzas, 20 slices. There's 10 of us. How many slices do each of us get? Those of you who have heard this story before, you don't get to play. How many slices do each of us get? It's not a hard question, guys. There's 10 of us. There's 20 slices. There's 10 of us. How many slices of pizza do each of us get?
2.
Thank you. Now, they screw up the order and they only deliver 1 pizza with 10 slices. Now, how many slices do each of us get?
1.
Yeah, you're wrong, because I still get 2. The rest of you can figure it out. What's my point?
You're gonna get it anyways.
Okay. Get your unfair share. Don't look at the real estate market like there's a fair share going on out there. You hear real estate agents say all the time, I'm just trying to get my fair share. My answer to that is, what the heck is that? Whatever your number is, go get it. Let everybody else worry about the rest. Now, it's not a selfish comment. It's 100% not. I would rather you be selfish on behalf of your family and your children in order to provide them with the life that they deserve than worry about getting more than you deserve. What the heck is that? Go get your unfair share. Have to in this market because there's fewer deals being done. There's still the same number of you. You're going to have to get your unfair share in order to be able to hit your goals. Just because the market moves from more to less doesn't mean that you have to. Your level of success is 100% a choice. All right, Stacy, that's a wrap.
Man. So much goodness. A million thank yous. We may have to have you come on back on and do the bullet that we didn't get to was navigating our new buyer agency agreements.
Yeah.
Which I think, say that again, what?
Huge, important.
It's huge. And I mean, it's one of the things that's most on the forefront of everyone's mind as we navigate these next few weeks. So I would love to circle back with you. Everybody should know John does a morning call every single morning. John, correct me if I'm wrong. Every single morning at 8 o'clock Central. So 9 o'clock your time, John. You're Florida, right?
That's correct.
And it is open to everyone on this call. That's an invitation to you. Elizabeth sends out an email every Monday morning with the link to John's call. And everybody that on this call that I know attends that call, and those that aren't, just say that's the gold of the day. So that's an invitation that's available to all of us. So I would say I think Megan's on there, Brian's on there, Todd Bailey's on there. I know Michelle Hendricks, I believe, is on there. So I would just reinforce, this is a time we got to come together and figure out the skills, John, that you're talking about. You know, back in the day, I've also been licensed 22 years, and the skills that we had to learn back in the day, I mean, we were doing tons of short sales, right? That was a new skill we had to armor up with. And now we're back to, we've been on a long, steady cycle of the market being a lot different than it is now. Easier in some ways, not as easy in other ways, but it's a skill set. We've got to sharpen up skills. And some people on this call haven't been through a tough market, right? So don't even have the kind of skills yet that we're talking about. So this is a time to double down, like you said, and really skill up. And so John's call every single morning, I think, is just couldn't be more timely for all of us to participate in. So there's
What time again? The call?
It's, you're Florida, right, Lizette?
Yeah.
So John's on your time, so 9 o'clock your time, and I think 30 minutes, John.
It is 9 to 9:30 every day.
Yeah.
We go to the breakout rooms 3 days a week and we practice and role play scripts. And then 2 days a week is training and coaching.
So watch for Elizabeth's coaching calendar that she sends out every single Monday morning. It usually comes out on Sunday night, I believe. But the link to that call with John is in there. So I just put it on. We all should just have it on our calendars to jump onto those calls. Thank
Stacey,
you
I'm
for
gonna
your generosity, John, in doing them.
My pleasure. I just want to do a shout out to somebody here who I know has shared this opportunity with many agents, because I have new agents coming on every day, and all of them have one thing in common. They were all invited by Brian Copeland. So shout out, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, you got your fan crowd right here, John Dietz. I tell you.
Well, it's an honor. It really is. All right, everybody, make it a great day. See you guys next week.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
This
you.
was recorded, so look forward in Tribe if you want to re-listen.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have a good one.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye-bye.